know we're going live or not. It's just, we just go and like you said, we're here, we're live. Hey, Lauren, how are you today? How are you?
Oh, are we live?
That's the thing. You don't need to know if we are or not, right? It's just, hey, how are you?
Oh, hey, I'm good. How are you? Wow.
Well, I already shared a little bit before we came live. I think I'm having a challenging time right now. I have to say, I've been kind of roller coaster of emotions the past couple of days, and just feeling, trying to find the beauty in what I'm doing, but also feeling, like, how is this going to be successful? And, what does even success look like? And it's hard to detach yourself from that second piece. When you have put your, a lot of your heart and soul in something that you are creating, which, ties so nicely, I think, with the, our topic for today, which is basically, how do you overcome difficulties? What does that even mean to overcome difficulties in our lives? And that was actually, I just want to put out there, thank you, the fabulous Queen Bee, Bridget Simmons, for giving us this great idea and our topic that we were going to just have a great conversation about. So how are you doing?
Well, I was a little roller coastery yesterday, and today I'm okay. Today I implemented some self-care. I've been going live each morning, as I've decided this week was my week of self-care, incorporating that on a regular basis. And I decided I'm going to encourage other people to do that, because I think when we say things like, how do we deal with difficulty? I think it's like this great idea, but I don't think we all have tools. It's like, it's a great idea, but we know one way. And the issue is that if we don't know what we don't know. And so until we learn how other people do it, we're just stuck. And sometimes we don't want to go to our default, because maybe our default doesn't work all the time. So opening up to other possibilities just gives you a fuller toolbox. So that's where I was yesterday, but now I'm at, I don't know what time it is, 12:02. I'm feeling on top of things, but
I'm going to need to borrow some of that energy of yours, because I'm definitely not, just being really candid, I'm not in that headspace right now. It was a tough morning. I just am feeling, again, like I told you, you reach out to people, you put your heart and soul into something, and sometimes it doesn't feel like maybe there's the return, and it's not return like a transactional. It's just, I mentioned this to you, that sometimes the people that you think should really be there supporting you, like in a certain way, it doesn't end up sort of happening, and it doesn't. But you had mentioned something really smart earlier, that maybe they don't know either. And so, that really helped, just thinking about that. But, it's where I'm at. Like right now, I'm trying to just honor that this is the space that I'm in today. It doesn't mean that I'll be here tomorrow, but I'm going to really try to just be okay with what I'm feeling. And right now what I'm feeling is, just kind of blah. So we have someone who's like total high energy, and then there's me right now, and I'm like this. I feel like a dead weight.
But you know what? That's okay, because you have put so much energy and so much time and so much of your heart and your soul into this project. So it makes sense that you would be sitting on pins and needles, wondering how it's going to transform. And you have all of these 7 emotions. You're seeing it as upset, but really it's not just upset. It's anticipation. It's fear. You have all of these different fear, anticipation, disappointment that it's not, inside of expectations of where we've decided we think it should be, which how much control do we really have on where you are in that and on other people? And like what you just said, that's right now. That has nothing to do with what's going to be at 4 o'clock this afternoon. You know, so, but it's normal that you would feel that way because this is your everything right now. You know, you're waiting. So it makes sense that you would be so emotionally
charged in a way. Yeah.
Charged
I mean,
it's a lot.
It is. It feels like a lot. I mean, I feel like right now I can feel, you know, when we talk about like how we're energetic beings and that we all have energy, I can feel it. I can feel it in my system, you know, like how you feel that, it's kind of like, not that it's getting bottled up, but it does, like it needs to be released. And so it's, you know, I think that's the beauty of overcoming hard things or difficult things, right? Is sometimes it's really even hard to see and have any clarity when you're in the middle of what you're feeling. Like,
right.
It's not like you are sometimes able to grasp that piece because you are so blinded by the emotions that you're being overwhelmed by that it doesn't really allow you to see possibilities. And so, you know, I was thinking earlier too, that when you're not able to see the possibilities, and, you know, I'm a coach, so I'm trained and I understand that, you know, we always have a choice, right? In any given moment, we always have a choice. But I think sometimes it's okay to choose what you're currently feeling and just sit with that and not allow it to, not to try to add more judgment to it, but just to kind of honor it and give it the space that it needs so that it can pass, right? So that you can feel it, so that it will eventually pass, that you can release it at some point. And
so if you know that to be true,
mm-hmm.
as you've just said to me, not judge it and to feel it, if you know that to be true, how does that change your experience today in what you're going through?
I mean, it takes some of the pressure, I think, off of what I'm, like the pressure that I'm putting on myself, like the pressure of that it needs to be anything other than just what it is, and to not associate, like try not to make a judgment value or some kind of a good, bad, right, wrong type of scenario, but that it is right now. And that, again, honor it for what it is right now. And I think that is something that it's just dawning on me right now. That is something that people should do, I think, when they're having a difficult time, is to not deny themselves what they're currently feeling or experiencing, because a lot of times I think we don't. I think our nature in the culture, I mean, living in such a westernized culture that we live in, a lot of times, you know, a lot of people are taught, myself included, right, believe that emotions were something that you just kind of moved on from. You didn't really deal with that.
This is a new concept of embrace your emotions. And I think, you know, people, it sometimes falls under that woo-woo thing. But, you know, I think I've decided that woo-woo works, because the truth is there's like all these generations that didn't deal with emotions. And now people they're holding their emotions and they don't know what to do with them. They don't even know what they're feeling. And so emotions are information. It's your soul, your spirit telling you how you feel, what you need. And when we choose to not listen to those messages, then how do you expect to ever move through things and allow things to be dealt with? So what if you just said, all right, I judged myself. I feel like crap. I want so much for this to be successful. That's human. And that's where you are in this little window. And so I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to allow myself to be human, because, you know, while you're a coach, you're also a human being, but you have the tools at your disposal. And so you can literally just kind of go, okay, which one do I need to use? Right. Non-judgment, acceptance, I'm going to embrace the emotion, sit with your emotion. I believe that emotions are pieces of who we are, and they're asking us for something. So to me, I sometimes offer people to externalize the emotion and acknowledge it and let it come up, release. That's how you release it. If you don't release it, it stays bottled up. So release it, look at it, have a conversation, acknowledge it, and just use all those coaching tools right there and have a conversation with an imaginary emotion. And what would you say to your emotion?
I mean, right now, you don't know what I would want to say to my emotion. I don't think it'd be a very, it's not like, it's not a bunch of like, oh, I love you, or let's get touchy feely. I think right now, what I would tell my emotions is, you know what, it's fucking hard. It's hard. And it's not something that you ever want to feel. I mean, in a way, it's like you just want to tell it, go away. Why don't you just leave me alone so I can just get on with the things that I know I need to move forward with? But again, I am a coach, so I understand the things that you're saying, but we're also human. And so I need to really respect my humanity and understand that this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And that's okay. And it's okay to feel the way I'm feeling, like you said. And I do recognize that. But, there's times where you just want to sometimes it's hard to make heads or tails of it, I think. I think sometimes that's the thing, like when you talk about emotions, like you said, and they're like signals, right? They're little like signals speaking to you. I think if you also don't know how to listen, like you just talked about, if you don't know how to listen and you don't know how to really understand what that may be signaling to you, that's where I think it can get really complicated in trying to get past or move past difficult things. Because typically when you're in a difficult situation, right, you're dealing with some set of emotions that are attached to whatever it is that you are trying to get through. And not even get through makes it sound like it's all about getting to some
you don't get through something. It just
right. It's
an
almost
experience.
just to live it, exactly, to live it and breathe it and embrace it. So I think, but that those nuances, I think, are the pieces where, it's so unique. It's so unique to every individual in terms of how much time you need to take to sit with those emotions and grapple with them and talk to them and listen and talk and listen and self-reflect, so that you start to really make the heads or tails of what it is that's trying to tell you, so that you can honor that as well. And like you said, then move forward, right? It's so we, obviously have been in situations where, like you said, some people can't even name an emotion. Like, even if they were feeling it, they may be feeling, they have to be feeling something, because as humans, we are feeling beings. That's what we do. You feel love, you feel hurt, you feel jealousy. I mean, these are things that everyone has felt at some point in their life, but there are people who, can't feel or can't name it.
And even if they can name something like jealousy, the one you just mentioned, that's not where the emotion stops. What's behind, it's the thing behind the thing. It's behind jealousy, there's fear. And so it's not it's one emotion isn't, feeling something isn't one emotion. It can be comprised of many different emotions. Maybe we should attach that wheel that we were talking about yesterday to maybe give people an idea of being able to look at all of the different emotions that we feel. It's not, yesterday it was happy, sad. I'm either happy or I'm sad. No, there's like a million in between.
Right, there's a million nuances behind when you say happy. Are you elated? Are you joyous? I mean, there's more, like you said, there's more nuance and more depth behind just saying, oh, I'm sad.
Yeah, absolutely. And also wanted to address something. You talked about something like having a timetable for your emotions.
Your video went off, Lauren. I know.
I just found it. there isn't really a timetable. It's not like, well, I'm going to take today and I'm going to give myself today and I'm going to kick back and okay, there you go. Check. Self-care done. All right, I'm back. No, that's not how it works. I mean, I think emotions kind of have their own timetable, but I think that when we aren't first, we talked about awareness and then really kind of breaking apart what emotions you're feeling, addressing it, acknowledging what it is and allowing it to come out, releasing it. But the next part is how, and I think that was the original question Bridget also was looking for, was how. So we've given them all of those components, creating the awareness, naming it, releasing it, giving it its own time, that we don't get to control everything. We like to think we can control, but actually the greatest, I don't know if this makes sense. The greatest releasing control is the greatest form of control. Does that make sense? Like that kind of came to me.
Right, because, well, you're right. It's just like it's like it negates itself. Like by not, if you believe in the idea of controlling something, if you are able to just release control of it, that's the greatest control, is just not controlling. Is
not controlling it.
But I mean, that's a whole, that could be a whole nother discussion about, I mean, not controlling, right? Because so many people go through life and go through their day-to-day, and I have in the past, thinking that it takes a lot of effort and energy to think and manage something that you're trying to control. Like you're trying to control the outcome. And you miss so much along the path of discovery, self-discovery, when you are trying to control something, because you're not even really being present in your day-to-day, because your soul control really is something that's a future, it's a future state, right? You're trying to control some future outcome. And so that's where your focus becomes, and it's almost like you become blinded. It's like one of those horses with the blinders that they have to put on when so they don't see everything around them, they just see what's in front of them. It's almost like that's what happens when you are trying to control things, is that you don't really get to see all of the nuances and all those beautiful nuances by being present now, like in the moment, because you're every little thing that you're trying to see and do is about, I need for this to be the outcome, or imagine this, like I need for someone else to do this, thinking that you can control other people's actions or behaviors. And people do that shit, do that stuff all the time.
So I don't mean to be bitch slapping you with your own words. However, I love what you just said about how people, they get like this and they think they can control the outcome.
I think I know where you're going with this as a coach. You're just gonna like put it back on me and say, okay, how does that?
So I want you to hear what you said.
Yeah.
That that people have a tendency to think that they can control, and they see it like this. And what was it that you said? They miss all the beauty and the nuances of all the experiences because they're so caught on needing to control. They're missing all that. So I love that you said that. So if that's true, not entirely shifting, but how does that allow you? If you took that as a gift, how does that change your experience?
It would allow me to see, I think, more joy in each thing that I'm just doing in the present, like whether it means that I am, whatever I'm doing to support the work that I'm doing, the challenge, you name it, it just would bring, I think, more joy to each moment versus feeling the way that I was, I'm feeling better now, but where we started and even before we came on live, I definitely was telling you, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm feeling and this is what I'm thinking. And so God, it actually just allows you, it liberates and sort of gets rid of all of that energy that is making you feel tight and making you feel like worn down. And so for me, I mean, that certainly. I mean, it does help. And yes, I said it, and it was just because that's what came to me in the moment when we were talking about it, that it's amazing how much we do try to control things, and how it's something that is really, I think it's actually, I mean, I think it's, when you talk about, I mean, we're talking about the coronavirus right now. I think seriously, if we could talk about like a pandemic, I think there's a pandemic of control in
100%. It's a default. It's a default. I think it's human nature to say, well, I've done this, so therefore this should be the outcome. Like raising your children.
Yeah, that's a really great example, right? That, you know what? Oh, I did this, and this, and so should be the outcome, which is, you know, when you're right. I mean, they're their own person, right? They're their own individuals. And next thing you know, they take a right turn when you were like, no, we were going to make a left turn here. And then you're right. Then you're like, holy shit, you know, why are you going right when we were right? We're going left. Everything's been about going left. And now you're going the opposite direction.
And kid number one, they did what I put the map out, they followed. And so why would kid number two do anything different? And then kid number three, you kind of, you know, there's no control. Like that was the greatest gift in having Matthew, was I realized control was a complete illusion. And so I now know I can impart what I know from my experience. I can certainly plant seeds of value, but in the end, my children, Khalil Gibran, come through me. They are not for me. And that was really huge for me. He's a poet. I came across him through Wayne Dyer, but I loved that line in the middle of high school children, was knowing that no matter what it was that I was doing, thinking that I could control something, that ultimately my child is their own independent being. My spouse, I can have expectations up, down, left, and right, but that doesn't mean just because I do something that means my spouse should, you know, we should all over ourselves. It's not how life works. And so when we release that, and imagine if you just like leaned in and said, all right, what do I need to let go of here?
No, and it's been a journey for me, because if I go back, you know, like I've told you this before and I've shared it, but like, I definitely was the person where, you know, just based on what I believed and how I grew up and, you know, who I am, I remember, I can distinctly remember I've gotten so much better along this journey, right? It's a journey in itself, but wanting to control everything, how, you know, how people perceive things, or my work, you know, making sure that people understood that I was this amazing hard worker, and trying to control that. And it's, I mean, seriously, the gift that was given to me that scared the living shit out of me was when in San Francisco, I met Jonathan, and I shared this with you. When I had to pick up and move that first time, it was as if someone finally that had been challenged. So it was the first time for me that I felt like, in a big way, that the idea of being in control was challenged, because I mean, I have never felt my body was so out of control. I mean, I was not sleeping. I was full of anxiety and stress and worry. And it was one of, you know this, like the toughest times of my life. But I can say that every single time now that I have sort of had to restart or start anew, has shaved off, has whittled down that idea of, like you said, control, and that there really is no control. And I think I've arrived finally at a place in my life too, where I understand that concept, and I'm okay with it. I think that's the difference, is being okay with it, because I think what happens is a lot of people fight it. A lot of people, they keep fighting it. They keep fighting against what they want to control. And it ends up really sabotaging themselves. I think there's like a sabotage there that can happen if you just keep doing it, because again, you're missing out on so much, because you're all your energy, effort, and thoughts are around trying to make something be what you think it should be versus just letting it be.
So what
And
was
that
your
it,
greatest takeaway? If you had to do San Francisco over again, what would your higher self tell Kevin from back then?
I think my higher self would have said, you know, now, I mean, I couldn't see it in the moment too. That's the thing. I mean, I don't want to go into that piece, but it's hard to see it when you're in the moment. And that's
Of
why
course.
so many people, right? Like you said, it becomes a default state. It's just something that you go to. My higher self would say, you should, like, it would be something around just being grateful for the fact that you allowed yourself those experiences to be able to develop some sense of awareness around understanding that there's beauty in not controlling, that there's actually so much more beauty in not controlling things. I think that's what my higher self would say, that it's actually like kind of this ultimate state of being, because you constantly could be at peace with yourself, because that's the opposite of peace. It's like if you're not trying to control anything, then you can just sit there. You can see it all. You can look left, you can look right, you can look in back of you, you can look all around you. And so it's this very like Zen state, if that can be it, because it's not bringing any negative energy or negative thoughts. It's just, hey, this is what it is. There's beauty right now. And what is that beauty? Look at the beauty that's in front of you.
That's
and
powerful.
when you're, the opposite of that is, where I was, which was, I couldn't even think straight. That's the difference. Like, that would be like the higher self would say that, imagine if you could be more present in the moment, in your day-to-day, with your spouse, with your children, with your boss, with your coworkers, your team.
Versus stuck in control mode.
Exactly. If you were able to truly be present in hearing and seeing and witnessing everything that's going on, versus allowing your thoughts to get ahead of you, to start controlling whatever it is that you want to control, imagine how it would, I think, positively impact your life. And I mean, in so many ways, because I've seen it, right? Like if you get in meetings, I'm sure you can relate to this, right? Where you've been in a group of people that you don't know, you feel that anxiousness and that nervousness because, no one knows you, you don't know them, there's no existing relationships. And so next thing you know, instead of just focusing and being present with every single person about like, what are they saying? What are they really
energy
saying?
It does take energy. It takes a new it's a new tool to learn, a new energetic muscle that you have to practice. It's not like a switch. Everybody should know. It's not like, oh, okay, I want my go.
True. That's what I'm saying when I said it's a
practice.
journey, right? It was a journey for you. It was a journey. I'm sure it's a journey for a lot of people. But I guess what I'm saying is, God, having spent time in corporate America too, if you're a professional and that's where you're coming from day to day, you're missing out on so many cues meaning like things that are around you that are happening, that if you really tapped into and read, would actually make you a more effective leader. Because half the time when you are trying to control, I need to control what the outcome is tomorrow, I need to make sure, when you're trying to do that, you're missing all of that. And so that's like you said, it's information. It's like research. It's your own research and development. It's R&D, that you are literally saying, you know what, I'm not going to make any investment in that in myself. And so I'll forego it, but the outcome is going to be something, because you basically are not allowing yourself to connect all those dots, all those little dots that make up the bigger picture around you.
So if I might get curious, may I get curious? I'm not gonna bitch slap you with the Kevin R&D, but how might you apply that amazing Kevin R&D and the experience of where you were? I know I don't want to stack questions on you, but that's the header. My question to you, in using that, what would be, if you were present, what would be your two beautiful takeaways and gifts from the experience if you were to apply the Kevin R&D?
that every single second is a gift, and to look at it that way. And don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat yourself of what that experience could be for yourself. I know this is long-winded. But in every single moment, it's a gift that you've been given. And again, it's something that you really have to practice. So stay present and stay connected to what is right now, because otherwise you are going to start missing all of those little beautiful elements that are telling you things and that you're going to be blinded by. So free yourself from attaching anything to it other than the beauty that's right there in that moment in front of you.
That's beautiful. It sounds like you've definitely taken some stuff away from your own session, from your own thoughts. I'm just curious. So where you were before, what are your takeaways, your beautiful takeaways from where you thought you needed to control? What joys in your process, in your project that you're working on right now? What are your gifts?
My gifts are that it's something beautiful that I've created. It's that there's just the beauty in the creation of what I put together, the time and thought and effort that's gone into it, and to honor that and just be okay with that and don't worry about the outcome. And that's the challenging piece, is kind of what we said, getting ahead of yourself. That's the piece where, right, these thoughts come in of, well, what if this doesn't happen, or what if this happens, or
catastrophizing, awfulizing,
exactly.
Going all the way, what you said, going into the future and living a story that hasn't even happened, and you've beaten yourself up for no apparent reason. But if you were present, you would know that what you did was beautiful. It was your heart and soul. You developed it. It was amazing. You just said that. And I know that because I've witnessed you putting that together. You have so much to be proud of. And
absolutely. I mean,
I do
feel actually, well, thanks, Coach, because I do feel lighter being self-coached and being coached. That was kind of and having an amazing conversation about how to overcome difficult or challenging times in our lives. So
thanks for trusting me with your stuff.
Oh, thank you for just being present and being with me, and also honoring where I am at too. That means so much to me.
Good stuff.
Great stuff. If you guys love what you're hearing right now on the replay, do not forget to join us. We will be here next week, same time, same place, and maybe doing something obviously very similar. It's called Unconventional Wisdom because we're just taking random themes, ideas, and having a discussion around them. And so if you have any, also please add them in the comments if you see this on the replay, and we will, share them. And you know where to reach us. You know that I think we've been doing this long enough that you know where to reach us if you need to reach us. We're here.
Do you want to share a quick plug on your challenge that we both have launched this week?
Yeah, so my 10-day challenge actually starts next week. It's on the 17th. I am really proud of the work that I've done. And it is a transformative experience for LGBTQ professionals where you are given the time, your own personal self-guided time, to tap into who you are as a professional, and really get some clarity around not only your values, but your overall levels of satisfaction in certain areas in your career or job, a better idea of how you're showing up and what that even means. I mean, if you're showing up every day angry, there's a cause and an effect, and that has an effect. So this is a space where in the end, you actually will end with developing a plan for yourself that you can take forward to make some movement in however way you want towards your career or job. And so I really would be honored if you joined and participated, because it's a powerful 10 days and it's self-guided and it's in a very supportive, trusting, beautiful environment. And so that's my 10-day challenge. And what about your 14-day challenge?
My 14-day challenge is the Everything You 14-day challenge. And it is for women who are everything to everyone else, and they're drained. They're losing sight of who they are. Their identity is wrapped up in being everything to everyone else. So in mine, similar, self-guided, I will have a private Facebook group. I will post a video, 5 minutes. Women are very much like, how long is this going to take? That's all I keep hearing from people. How long is this going to take? I'm very limited. How long? I'm like, okay, 5 minute video, 5 minute video. And it's going to have a downloadable PDF, and I promise 20 minutes. Yeah, that's all I've heard. How long? So 20 minutes of an activity, self-reflection. We're going to deal with things like your values. We're going to deal with confidence, connections, gratitude, what it is you want to do, your thing, your passions and purpose, and, just kind of it's like a overall mud bath, like a cleanse. Like it's getting back to who you are.
Ooh,
because we don't.
It's like a soulful. It's like a soulful cleanse.
A soul cleanse. And
I like
it's
that.
14 days, and there's going to be a lot of group chatter, and it's going to be inspiring, empowering, and fun, and great fun activities. Nothing, just all positive, beautiful experiences. The Everything You 14-day challenge. Grab a friend, a partner in accountability, and you can enroll today.
And we will add actually our registration. I was just thinking, we will add our registration to the comments to this if you're watching the replay, so that will make it easy for you if it's piqued your interest.
Just click.
Yeah, just click and check it out. And again, we are going to see you guys next week at 12 noon Eastern, right here on the K&L Effect.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, bye.